Good morning, class. Today we will be continuing on the topic of resources and sustainability. Our focus for this lesson will be on non-conventional energy sources. In our geography lessons last week, we focused on conventional energy resources and their impact on the environment. We learned about the production of thermal, hydro, and nuclear energy in South Africa and the impacts of coal mining and nuclear power. You should have learned about non-conventional energy sources in previous grades. Can anyone explain what a non-conventional energy source is? What are some examples of non-conventional energy sources? What is a non-conventional energy source? A non-conventional energy source is an energy resource which is less commonly used. Non-conventional energy sources are renewable, which means that they are continuously replenished by natural processes. Wind energy, solar energy, tidal energy, biomass, and geothermal energy are all examples of non-conventional energy sources. What is wind energy? Wind energy is energy that is created by wind and can be used for pumping water, milling, and sailing ships. Wind energy or wind power is the process of using wind to generate electricity or mechanical power. How is wind energy used to create electricity? Wind blows across tall windmills, which causes the blades of a huge turbine to turn. This causes generators to spin to create electricity. A transformer is then used to increase the voltage and electricity is sent over distribution lines to be used by consumers. Where in South Africa is wind energy used to generate electricity? South Africa has 33 wind farms that are at various stages of development. The Western Cape, Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, and KwaZulu-Natal are the provinces with the best wind energy potential. Places where the wind is strong and reliable, such as coastal areas, at the tops of rounded hills, open plains, and gaps in mountains, are the best places for wind farms. Examples of wind farms in South Africa are Copperton in the Northern Cape, Cookhouse in the Eastern Cape, and Darlig and Seer in the Western Cape. What is the future of non-conventional energy sources in South Africa? There is a lot of potential to increase wind and solar power operations in South Africa. Solar and wind power are efficient technologies which could reduce the cost of electricity. The negative environmental impacts of coal power forces Eskom to look for sustainable energy sources. Coal power stations are old and require regular maintenance to be operational. The demand for electricity exceeds the supply, which leads to load shedding. What percentage of South Africa's electricity is produced from wind? Only 2.5% of South Africa's electricity is generated from wind. There are currently more than 1,365 wind turbines in operation in South Africa. These turbines produce 2,020 megawatts of power. What could the possible effect be on South Africa's economy from using more non-conventional energy sources? The economic advantages of non-conventional energy are: jobs are created for the construction and operation of the power plant. There will be less costs to reduce and fix pollution. There is no cost in buying the energy source because it is free. Wind and solar power don't use water, so water will be saved. It will lower the costs on public health and safety, and the cost per unit of electricity is cheaper. The economic disadvantages of non-conventional energy sources are less dependence on coal as an energy source can lead to job losses in coal mines and coal power plants. Unfavorable atmospheric and weather conditions can cause wind and solar energy to be inconsistent and unreliable, which can be costly. It is also expensive to start a non-conventional energy plant. What are the environmental advantages and disadvantages of non-conventional energy sources? The environmental advantages of non-conventional energy sources are: it is renewable and it will never run out. It is a clean source of energy. No greenhouse gas emissions are produced during operation. The land between wind turbines can be used for farming. Less damage to land, animal habitats, and biodiversity. It reduces the demand for non-renewable fossil fuels. And so wind and solar power produce no air or water pollution during operation. The environmental disadvantages of non-conventional energy sources are: wind turbines create noise pollution. Wind turbines can harm and kill species of birds, bats, and insects that fly past. The heat that bounces off the reflective surfaces of solar panels can harm, blind, and kill birds and insects that fly past. And the environment's aesthetic value suffers because of the large wind and solar farms. In this lesson, we have learned lots of things about non-conventional energy sources. We have learned that a non-conventional energy source is an energy resource which is less commonly used. It is renewable, and examples of non-conventional energy sources are wind, solar, tidal, biomass, and geothermal energy. Wind energy is energy created by wind. Wind power is the process of using wind to generate electricity or mechanical power. Wind energy is used to create electricity through the use of turbines that turn and cause generators to spin to create electricity. The transformer increases the voltage and the electricity is sent over distribution lines to consumers. South Africa has 33 wind farms that are at different stages of development. The provinces with the best wind energy potential are the Western Cape, Northern Cape, Eastern Cape, and KwaZulu-Natal. Coastal areas, tops of rounded hills, open plains, and gaps in mountains are the best places for wind farms. The future of non-conventional energy sources in South Africa looks positive because of the negative environmental impacts of coal power and the coal power stations requiring regular maintenance in order to be operational. This will force Eskom to look into sustainable energy sources. South Africa has a lot of potential for wind and solar power operations. 2.5% of South Africa's electricity is generated by wind. The economic advantages of non-conventional energy are job creation, the cost per unit of electricity is cheaper, and there are no costs in buying the energy source. The economic disadvantages of non-conventional energy are job losses, and it is expensive to start a non-conventional energy plant. The environmental advantages of non-conventional energy are that it is a renewable and clean source of energy that has no greenhouse gas emissions. It reduces the demand for non-renewable fossil fuels. The environmental disadvantages of non-conventional energy are that wind turbines can cause noise pollution and they can harm birds, bats, and insects that fly by. Solar panels can harm, blind, or kill insects and birds that fly by. And also the aesthetic value of the environment also suffers. I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and I hope that you loved learning all about non-conventional energy sources.